Right, the using the surrounds. This on Amazon is not even a six track mix. Even though the 6 track mix has been remixed itself when the DVD came out. I only saw this movie. Oh gosh, I think five times at the cinema. It played over the years. You know, sometimes late night shows, double bill, then triple bill. Late night shows. But I think in the Screen One, the ABC Bournemouth Screen One, it played in, and then it moved in Screen Two, and this is after I think several months. You know, back then films played for quite a while. You know, not like these Disney Marvel, Mary Sue, Star Wars rubbish today. It only plays a couple of weeks and then it's done and forgotten about. Thank goodness. No, this played for months. Um, okay, so I'm playing it over the surround speakers over the back. And anyway, the surrounds, the film mix itself should be format 42. That is left, center, right, baby boom, mono surround. There's nothing wrong with mono discrete surround. Nothing wrong with it at all. Um, but I don't know what other additional remixes they've done to this movie. Um, the only way you could really hear it, listen to the mix, and it's I suppose it's 424 Matrix entirety. I suppose would have to be on Laserdisc, the NTSC, or maybe the PAL Laserdisc, so they'll be more or less the same. That's the only way you can, you know. But that helicopter towards the end of the movie, where the DeLorean gets back to the future, and then cuts to a helicopter that pans, starts off screen, then comes on screen, and then it panning across the LCR, and then into the surround channel. That's how it should be. But what it's doing on the 5 point, the remix, it's going over the LCR and then down the right side surround, and then phantom imaging between the two speakers, and then pans over to the left, and then DeLorean comes back to the future. Damn drunk drivers. uh, um, yeah, so I'm using the surrounds with the sub bass extension. Um, I'm not sure if the video can hear the difference. It might hear it slightly, so I'll do it one without the sub bass extension turned on. And it's got nothing to do with sub bass extension. With like this is sub bass connected primarily to the surround channel, so it's only augmenting, enhancing. Unless you've got really ridiculous large surround speakers that could do the tone fundamentally easily, whereas well, just switch it on, it does it nice, does it okay. So yeah, they're playing that riff. Turn it on now, might hear it in the video, I might hear it myself in the playback with a big woo. Plus I'm using a below surround. So my surround configuration, which I've done recently, so I could do, if I would put the laser disc on, I could play this back in the exact same sound format. That is left half, right half surround. Because the last few decades now, no single home cinema can play, not even now. It's easy to do, but how it's wired up here on these cinema processors is a bit technical. But I could do it. We've got the sound, the side surrounds are running. The back one is running, playing the same signal because it's connected onto here and then connected down to here. And I'll just flip a switch down here, most of the sound of the is mostly on the back, at the back behind me, whilst some part of it also below surround, below me. So it's kind of like looking over the shoulder sort of thing. And that's taken off from the sides. So it's down there. So this one does the back, and this one down here does the side. But they're both adjusted at the moment, so the signal is coming from here. Well, its source originally is very complicated through the B chain, because this is a pretty complicated B chain I've got, or designed. Very complicated B chain. 2 AVRs. So I was going to do that other guy, because another guy is pretty clever with an idea. Came up to way of doing a Frankenstein Atmos early day sort of thing, and he used several AVRs that were a little bit cheaper, that weren't too expensive, so he could get height 1, height 2, height 3. I might think about wiring in the front wide, which is connected on here, and then configure the other AVR so it do backs around, because you can't have everything running all at the same time. There's a trade-off, and I don't understand why a flagship AVR would have a trade-off. So if I want to run front wide, it's going to take off the backs around, and I'm a little suspicious about that. There's something going on there. There's something out of foot. Is it all snake oil, this Dolby Atmos front wide? Is it snake oil? Because I only have to take a very close listen to each single channel playing, and then know, right, there is some snake oil going on here. That sound signal is coming from somewhere else. So it's not fully, truly, utterly 100% discrete. There's some bullshit going on, you know? Because I've already pointed out the overhead, when you upmix, it's only taking the signal from the front left and right channel and then duplicates the same sound on height 1, height 2, height 3. There is only side-to-side sound imaging stereo going on. There's no sound additional imaging moving from height 1 or middle and then moving that way, and then or vice versa. It's only playing duplicated stereo, which in some part way is not too far off to the overhead experimental surround channel used at UCI Tower Park when I was projectionist there, and when it was a new multiplex in 1989. It used overhead surround speakers, and that was 1989. Not that it's pretty new, because even it's been used as far back as the late 1960s, and then used for Star Wars in 1978 with that Star Destroyer overhead sounding overhead, which I heard downtown. Not that I was really a listener then, I only heard it. I didn't really care much for it, because I didn't really care much for cinema sound. I was more interested in visuals and drawing and artwork. I was more interested in that than sound. But eventually I found myself, and it was sound. It's this, discovering yourself, and and even though art could be pretty pricey with whatever you do in art, but then sound systems and such, in a way, is an art form itself. Music is an art form. I could go on ranting about this until blue in the face. Yeah, I'm just going to play this bit again. Jesus fucking Christ. I could feel that. That's just kind of... So if I were to balance the sound between the surround channel and the bass in the surround channel, it's only crosstalk. At the end of the day, it's only partly crosstalk coming from the left and right signal at the front. If it was in the 6-track mix, I'd have to listen to it on DVD to see what the DVD's sounding like in discrete. But Dolby Stereo 424 Matrix only has an anti-phase signal that's in the left and right, and then the decoder extracts it, but it's still carrying the music from the front and such, and mixers can only keep it filtered out by so much. You can't do it all. And then till you want to put in a sound image like Star Wars, I think we took a wrong turn, and you hear an echo effect, which kind of runs to the front and then through to the surrounds, mono matrix surrounds, and it sounds pretty damn good here. And it's going to get a lot more better once I figured out how to do the other wiring to connect the regular surround with the overhead. That's going to take a bit of doing, because I need to make sure it could be switchable easily without any fuss messing around, even though I will be messing around behind the rack, because it's quite a bit of simple wiring, but it's making it work exactly the same way as I remember. So I could effectively switch off the side surrounds, side, back surrounds, switch them off, and just play the overheads. So I've got a lot of experience in listening to movies some 33 years ago. I can still remember how the exact sound signature sounded, and I've got most of those movies on Laserdisc, VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, whatever. But it's the 424 Matrix versions I've got to listen to. Or I could listen to some of the 6-track mix ones that haven't been tampered with. One movie come to mind, Spielberg's Always, 1989, where you got the aeroplane coming down on top of the other one, where it releases the water to put out the engine fire, and when the guy tries to after he's rescued the guy, and then his engine's on fire, and then he pulls the extinguisher that's in front of him, which then sounds in the cinema to where the camera, it's like this angle, the camera, I think it's at this angle, and it's looking upward, where you can see the engine prop moving around, and then you hear this, pulls the, and there's like a geek sound to indicate that the light is indicating and the extinguisher bottle has been engaged, and then you hear this in the cinema. I kind of looked like, well, while keeping one eye still on the screen. Didn't find it distracting. It's just as if real life, and you're driving down a road and suddenly something falls on top of the car. You go, what the fuck is that? And, you know, you find out it's a giant pelican that landed on the car. Not that I think pelicans would. So yeah, I got quite a lot of overhead surround listening experience, I've got more overhead surround listening time than most people would care for. Not to brag about it, but I'm a deep listener, a very, very, very deep listener. It's not a case of listening to all the sub bass and all that. You've got to listen to all the other details as well, and watch the image and where that image is going. Well, what should be above, below, to the sides. Atmos, at the end of the day, is mere. You can only do overhead, and that's all it can do. So it's not a true 3D sound. It's bullshit, because it doesn't have a true yet discrete below surround channel. I've got everything ready for it. And, you know, speakers underneath the seat. Everything's geared up and ready for discrete. I can matrix it at the moment, which is better than most home theatres could care for. And all I can say is try doing that at home.